Okay,
No, you're 411.
that's his police service.
410.
Go back to 410, Fred. 410's the police lines. If you back up a couple of pages.
40732 is administration, 410, those are the two.
Okay, 407.
Yeah, so,
The contract.
so Tom,
Listen, this is what I'm telling you.
I
We're
don't have
missing
page.
every other page, so that's
I don't
why.
have page.
You have front and back, we only have the front.
Right, you only have
So it's-
front, so
you're
it's-
missing the entire page.
so,
You're
so
not gonna
Tom,
find it.
what I'd ask you to do, right, if we can't talk about every budget item here, or every
Right.
line item, I think we'll be
I'm
here
just
till
saying, we have
midnight.
to go over everything.
You need to come back to us and say, here's all the discretionary items, right, versus mandatory items. And, you know, that's gonna take some time to figure out,
It's gonna
right?
take a while.
It's gonna take some time, right? And then, also within that, I think you gotta look very judiciously at, well, what is that as a relative of the overall cost, right? You know, we've already kind of convinced ourselves that cleaning is higher than our IT budget, right? So, you know, as if I'm picking one or the other to try to save money, I'm gonna pick the higher number first than the
I
lower.
want to say save it from both. So that's
Potentially, right?
what I want to
But
do.
let's not talk about every one, or, you know, we won't get through
Right.
everything else, right? So, find out what the discretionary is, you know, have a dollar amount associated with that discretionary, and then come back with proposals. And if it does turn out that, hey, the IT is the, you know, the one we can save the most from, then what he's saying, they're saying is right on, right? We gotta come back with proposals, right? We don't come back and say, hey, this is a number, it's too big, let's cut it in half, right? Because cutting it in half may not be even practical.
Right. But what I remember is like the end of last year, we had said to put out, to get bids on this. Did we ask for bids on this?
Yeah, we asked for bids, we didn't get
I
bids.
haven't seen, well, I'm sure we got bids out there somewhere. The bids come in, Mr. Callen?
You didn't go out for bid at the end of last year?
We didn't ask.
No,
We went out for bid when we
Professional
did it.
services.
No, we did go out to bid when we did this. This was just-
We asked.
Time out, folks. We got quotes. We didn't go out for bid, we got some quotes. We fought this battle before. Battle's over, we're gonna move on. If you
Well,
have other
actually, the
recommendations,
battle,
you bring it up.
actually, the battle's not over, Mr. Callen.
I can see
It's
that
still
right
going
now.
on,
Okay.
I can see that right
Hey, wait,
now.
time out.
We
Okay.
have an axe to grind. I think we could do that at the
Excuse me, sir.
staff level, let's move on.
You can calm down now.
I'm calmed down, you got 400 different line items here, you happen to pick on one. Can we just move on?
may I make a suggestion, if we can, because we do the budget in the fall. So if this is an action item, which I'm totally for cutting budget wherever we can. So if that is one of the action items, then we can focus on that. So when either contracts are up, or we can focus on, you know, when we're writing the budget, we can make sure that we're looking at that and we're prepared for going out for quotes at that time. So, that's just my suggestion, so that we can kind of,
And I don't wanna keep going back,
Yeah.
go back, you know, it's, you know, I wanna take the borough forward. If there's issues that there were mistakes made, let's not make them again. What we need to base it on information, we can't base it on hindsight, we can't go back and undo stuff. And we can only, and if we're gonna make changes, and you wanna make changes, you know, let's have the information so we can make the best
That's what
decisions,
I
that's,
asked.
you know.
okay.
So we're not
Do
arguing
that
about
30
it.
days, and go back to the next discussion.
I don't know if I can give you 30 days on that, but I'd still like to put something like this out so we can see what the comparison prices would be
Okay.
to do this. Like I said, we can't go back on mistakes, but we can just clean up the mistakes that were made.
So maybe we should, maybe for the finance, we could make some action items, like, let's look at utilities, let's look at operation costs, let's look at, because I would think that's under operation costs, am I correct, incorrect?
Should
That's
be
part of
under
operation.
administration.
So like administration, operation, utilities, let's make some focus areas that we can be working on throughout the year, so when it comes to budget, we can hammer that down. We have things in front of us, we've prepared the quotes and so forth, and we can make those changes, because I think we're all in favor of cutting the budget.
Move on.
Mayor.
Maybe excused.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I'm in distress, I gotta.
Please, that's fine. We're gonna be at this for a while, I think.
Do you have a ride?
Got one here.
All right, Tom, back to
Thank
budget
you.
finance. Do you have anything else?
No, it's just, like I said, with that one, you know, even with the different line items with everything, we're gonna have to have different numbers, everything to see what's going to save money here and there. It's not just, you know, here it is here, you have nothing to compare it to, you don't know what you're gonna see.
I mean, I just implore you to first find out what's discretionary, and let's order that discretionary by value, I mean, dollars spent, because, you know, you're gonna save more where you spend more versus where you just spend the smallest, and nothing else, right? Nothing else, what we've talked about today, cleaning, right, is more than the IT, and it seems that should be the opposite, but that's not here or there. So, all right, if there's,
One more thing, we have the independent auditor, we ordered the books yet? I mean, has that been ordered?
No,
It has not been ordered yet.
no.
When is that gonna be?
We did pass a resolution to appoint Hector Spreck, Newsel and Wood. We've been notified. Our treasurer needs to make some modifications to the QuickBooks before we get that quote.
If you recall, last year, there were things improperly classified.
I was just wondering if I was taking care of, if things were getting pushed forward and things getting in motion, that's all.
all right, let's go to ordinance.
Actually, you have comprehensive
Oh,
plan.
man, I skipped that, sorry. It was ordinance was the next one in the
Packet.
packet, sorry about that. Comprehensive plan.
Yeah, so, since we're all in this mindset of cutting, I come to you and I need to understand, in order to do a comprehensive plan, you and I sat through the classes, you're looking at between $50,000 and $250,000. So, if I bring this to council as a whole, are we gonna put our money where our mouth is in terms of developing a comprehensive plan to move Crafton forward, or are we
For the sake of myself and any constituents that are watching, what does a comprehensive plan entail? And how does one proceed through it, develop, like, can you give us like a Cliff Note version of establishing and?
When you were on the recreation committee,
Yes,
so blow that out times 5, times 10.
okay, so this is
the
the
recreation
overall big
plan would
picture
be
for
a
the,
piece of it,
okay,
and that piece, for example, was $60,000.
right,
70 limit, okay. I couldn't remember what the match was.
yeah, the two payments, 35, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is, I just want to make sure I'm understanding, so that, like, the rec piece was only about what are we gonna do moving forward
From a recreation
from a
standpoint.
recreation standpoint, so all of our parks and facilities. And so that is one piece,
Mhm.
and then can you give me what else is in it?
There could be housing goals, there could be planning goals, there could be commercial property goals.
Okay.
Bob, you've done this type of thing in
The
the past.
comprehensive plan is essentially takes in 8 components: your demographics, your up-to-date demographics, your land use, your housing, as April said, development, commercial and industrial. Recreation's a part of it, that piece has essentially been accomplished. Connectability with different assets, where your economic nodes are in relation to neighborhoods. So it's really the whole community life is a comprehensive plan. On a good day, it would take anywhere from 18 months to 24 months
Okay.
to accomplish. You certainly would retain a professional comprehensive planning firm to do that for you. You'd certainly get proposals. I'm guessing it's going to be about $124,000.
Okay. And so what we're already talking about in our committees, these are possible pieces, right? That, like, rec is a part of the plan.
Rec would be incorporated in a new plan because it essentially has been already done. So
Okay.
if you included the rec, you're probably talking about 150, 170,000.
Okay.
And the atmosphere is to do multi-municipal as opposed to just plain municipal if you're looking for outside funding.
Okay. So is this something that the COG could help us with?
Yeah.
Okay.
Could
Did you
we
get
maybe
my
get a
thing?
comprehensive plan from another borough or community just to see?
Oh, yeah, I can pick
Did you
one
have
off the
that
shelf.
class
right?
yet? There's a whole plan class, local government academy training.
Yeah, I guess the first thing I'd ask is, right, is there an appetite on council to do this, right? And certainly what I've thought is that we haven't had one for a very long time. And I think it's almost poor management not to have one. If you don't have your goals established, you're not gonna make goals, right? You're not gonna achieve anything.
Or we're all doing lots of different
You know,
things that are
you're gonna
connected.
feel
to
awfully
it.
busy, right, but you may not accomplish, after you look back 3 years, 5 years, you may not have accomplished as much as you thought you could have. It's having the blueprint and having the goals that help achieve what you really wanna get. We collectively, the 7 of us, I don't believe we're all capable of just writing this, which is why it costs $100,000, $200,000 to write. You know, why the rec plan, which you might think is even easier, right, only costs $70,000 to write. I mean, it's a body of work that costs money. It's spread out over 2 years, right? It's not something we have to plunk down, you know, next week, right, and not see a result for 2 years. You engage it, you find out a planning company, we interview them, we get a rapport with them, they start an interview process with the neighborhood, with the leaders of the community, and the thing gets built over time. We do have a sinking fund that we could use for some of this, and we can also use some of the money that Tom is gonna find in the budget undoubtedly, right? But, you know, we have to have, as a collective, we have to have an appetite to wanna do this.
Here's one thing I got, how much we talking over a 2-year period?
Depends.
Take the higher
Yeah,
number,
you
let's
can
say
take-
let's say $250,000.
$250,000 over a 2-year period. I think we better watch what we're getting into, because we may have some other things coming up real soon.
You're assuming it all comes out of our pocket. That's not a very valid assumption. There's other
And
public
this
sources for that.
comprehensive plan is gonna help us to be prepared for those things that are gonna come up, and that are gonna be, you know, may hit us, or may not hit us, or, I mean, you can't have a plan to move forward if you don't know what your plan is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And you plan
Okay.
for everything, you plan
I'm
for
just
disaster,
saying
you plan
this-
for
there's,
growth, you plan for everything.
If we don't have a direction and we're going, then we're going around in this hamster wheel, and I feel like this is kind of why we don't accomplish things. We talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, but we don't accomplish a whole lot.
7 people can't just go their own way and do their own
Right.
thing and think that we can accomplish.
Right,
as
it's
a
like
team.
everybody tied to a gum band and Crawford's in the center and we're all going bouncing around. So we need to all go in the same direction, and that governing picture is the strategic plan.
Yeah, and I think it's, I mean, to use a strong word, it almost feels irresponsible not to have a plan. It's gonna cost money, and I understand that there are things that are going to hit us that we might know about, we may not know about, right? You know, you can't predict the future, but, you know, as a governing body, not to have a plan for what the community should look like in 5 and 10 years feels irresponsible.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna say, coming on, and there is no plan for anyone to say, here's our plan, and we're glad that you're here to help us get there.
Right.
I have no idea,
Yeah.
and that's not fair either. So I would like to be part of the team to help get us there.
So
Fran, what do you
what
think?
is the next step in terms
it's a lot of
of,
money.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot of money, but
obviously, we have to vote on,
Grafton is worth it.
excuse me,
Sorry.
obviously, we have to vote on what type of budget allotment is going to come. Bob, do you have any insights into recent plans that were done, how much they were, we split it in the middle? I mean, we're kind of flying blind in terms of,
You're talking well over $100,000, $100,000 to $125,000.
I guess what I'm saying, we're gonna need an exact number for.
We won't know. We won't know until we solicit proposals and qualification statements from proposers. I would not do that unless you were serious and you had the money.
That's what I'm getting at, yeah.
You gotta have the money in the bank first. And there's other avenues to get that money. But I need the charge from council to do
Because the
that.
last thing I want is for you to go running off, getting proposals, reviewing this, spending all that
No,
time
let's-
there, and we're like, oh, we're not
Yeah,
gonna do
no,
that.
let's make it a matter of course to find the money first, right? And then we'll start doing that. But, I mean, are we hearing the collective, yes, this is something that we should do?
I would
Well,
suggest,
I mean, is it that unheard of to, and I'm not saying that we could put it down just the 7 of us ourselves, but couldn't we look at the one, what is it, from 1991? and maybe look at some other communities' plans that are relatively equal to Crafton, and at least know whether or not, like, why couldn't we come up with it ourselves?
Time.
Time,
Like, who's gonna do
expertise.
that?
It's not just a consultant sitting down drafting something. There's a lot of community meetings, there's a lot of stakeholder meetings, there's a lot of cross-referencing.
It was very telling, I thought, going through the process with the rec plan. The rec plan is one piece of the overall comprehensive plan, and it was extremely thorough. I thought it was above what any one of us individually or collectively could have done together, right, time-wise. There was outreach to the community, there was outreach to leaders, there were meetings that were held, there were drafts that were written. It was a full-time job, for a long time. And I don't think it's feasible for us to do it, just kind of, have an attitude like we're gonna get this done because we just gotta get it done. I don't think it's realistic.
Okay.
I think it's, now, whether it should cost $250,000, certainly there's gotta be a big gray area there, right? We don't need maybe the Cadillac of the comprehensive plan, but we need a plan.
Right.
And we may decide, when we put something out to bid, right, to use that very selectively. But we at least have to say, here's what our dollar is that we're gonna commit to it. Find out where that money's coming from,
Here.
right?
I know.
And then, and then move forward on it.
There, that way.
Pass it down.
Is,
Take one, pass it down.
is this in the packet? No. Yes,
No.
no, okay.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
So this is the research that Bob put together in terms of getting pricing.
Chairwoman.
Yeah, it helped.
Okay.
If you want to move forward, you can't just keep talking about it because there are deadlines for applying for monies and you need resolutions to do that. And if you look on page 2, you have a timeline there. I would suggest if you're going to cut the rug, at least let's find the money first before we decide. Remember, you have to be successful. Just because we apply doesn't mean we get the money. I'm looking at October before everything's said and done to know if we have the money or not to proceed. But there are certain key deadlines that have been established by those 3 or 4 funding agencies.
Have we budgeted for anything like this?
No.
We have not.
No.
Hence the discussion.
So,
But all I can tell you, the budget next year, when we sit down and discuss this at the end of this year, it's not gonna be much different than the end of last year, right? I mean, the budget discussion this year was pretty straightforward, right? I mean, it was certainly easier than the past budget, and this money's gonna come from somewhere if we decide it's a worthwhile objective, right? I think you first gotta decide it's a worthwhile objective, and then find the money. Perhaps the money comes from the money we find with turnkey, right? I mean, we can be creative about finding the money, but unless we have an appetite to do it, it's not worth it. And I feel like it's irresponsible not to have one.
I'm just thinking that the money we find, if we find any with the turnkey, is gonna pay off debts.
Well, I feel like it would go to wherever we designated to go.
It's definitely something to consider, because we really need to, yeah, we get hit with stuff, and that's never gonna change. But we also need to have a direction, we have to have a course. It'll help us navigate through that, and even though we will get hit, hopefully we come out of it better because we have a direction. We can't just be going blind, bouncing from one thing to another. We won't get anywhere. The borough won't get anywhere.
So is there a consensus with the council people here to?
I think we should pursue this.
I agree.
Down, look for the money?
do that at the next meeting is when you make your motion.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm just,
No, I mean,
I
what Fred's asking
April was
is,
trying to get a feel for
yeah, well,
whether this thing was prior.
right.
Yeah, before we employ our administrative staff to investigate this.
Yeah, so I mean, we got one yes,
I would say
I'm a
yes.
yes. Yes. April, Nina, Fred,
Yeah.
Tom?
I think we're gonna need that money, boys and girls. Just my guess.
Well, we have 6 votes, right? I mean, let's respect the process, right? And let's try to find the money. We're not taking steps now.
I'll make any
right?
steps.
We're not taking any steps.
Just find the money,
Just-
and I guarantee if you find the money, fine. You know, but
How much is our sinking fund right now? I mean, 102,000, is it?
Yeah, how much is the sinking fund?
785,000 carried forward last year.
785. Okay. So, we have that, we also have money we can find from the discretionary part of the budget, which is what we've been asking and talking about before with the finance. All right, let's, in the interest of time, did you have anything else, April? No? Okay. Now on to ordinance.
There were 2 issues. The first one is 37 White Avenue, Woodville.
37 White Avenue, if you can recall, council put that out for bid, the highest bidder. We got one bid, and that was Sam and Debbie Patty that own Settlement Services, and 37 White is the vacant lot. It's kind of on the other side of the circle. The plan is to turn that into a small parking lot for Settlement Services. It went through the reviews, it went through zoning. The zoning hearing board is satisfied with it. It falls into the plan. The only thing that remains is for council to go ahead and endorse that as a project. And I'm hoping to do that at the next meeting. And that's why you have the stuff we sent you from our solicitor. So it's a matter that it's going to go forward. It's subject to 2 or 3 things. Number one, we will have to submit a grading permit, which would be part for the course, as well as apply for a building permit from our building official. I know the Patties want to get moving on that for early spring, so we can have that parking lot in there. There is a house right next to it, and part of the deal is that White House there, they get one of those parking places. So, it's just a matter for your need to know, or will be brought up at the next council meeting to, move on with the deal. Okay? And the other item, page, if you're looking at page 63 under the ordinance, the Episcopal Church has asked for 2 handicap spaces to be used for Sundays only. Just want to caution council that there is an informal arrangement with Crafton and Residences that if a resident applies for a handicapped parking space, let's say in front of his or her house, that would be granted as long as that house did not have a driveway. So that is pretty much a handshake. When you're getting into a non-residential area, for example, for a church or whether it's a business, that should be done by ordinance, and we do not have an ordinance. The danger of that is if you provide it for one,
for all. Everybody.
so the council can't act on this. The issue is, should we adopt an ordinance for non-residential handicap parking? You may want to discuss that. That's one thing. The second thing is, I was shot down 2 years ago. If a resident wants a handicapped parking place in front of the house and the police agree to that because there's no driveway and the person actually can demonstrate that they are handicapped and they have a handicap placard or license plate. Practice is for us to order the sign, the post, our public works puts it in, and we paint at taxpayer cost. My position is, whether I get shot down again or not, is that if someone wants them, fine, but they should pay for it. At least cover the cost. That's a discussion for another time, but if we were to put it in the church, or in front of the chiropractor's place, or Joe Schmo's place that sells peanuts, I think they should pay for it.
Yeah,
But the issue is now, should we adopt an ordinance to allow for non-resident handicap parking?
like you said, if you do it for the one, you gotta do it for everybody. Like you were saying, for the resident though, about them paying for it, I know it's a discussion for another time. But that would be fine, but anybody with a handicap plate or sticker can park at that spot. Now, these people are
That's
gonna say, I paid for that. You know what I mean? That's where the sticky situation is on that. But if you do it for the one, you're gonna have to do it for everybody, man. You can't just.
The ordinance, I don't think, could be selective.
Right.
Has this ever been requested in the past? From this church or another?
Not since my time here, I don't know.
I don't.
There was a Dr. Chiropractor, I think, on Dinsmore
Yes.
requested, but
And it was
that
denied.
was not
Was denied? Okay.
Is that a part of ADA compliances that all businesses or religious
on
facilities?
public street.
Yeah, no, okay.
I would venture not, other than the handicap ramp at the intersection across from one side to the other.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a sticky subject situation.
Yeah, and again, we're talking about someone who definitely, I would imagine this is why this was brought up, people are having difficulties getting to, having access to the church. And I don't know, it's a no-win situation. We want to have people to be able to go to church and,
Well, how many-
do a,
How many spots are they asking for? 2
For Sundays only.
for Sundays only? You mean to tell me they only have 2 handicapped people in that entire church?
Is there a parking lot?
no, there isn't a park.
There's not a parking lot,
There's
so
gotta be
it's all
more than 2
on-street
people in that
parking.
entire church, so, you can't please them all.
Yeah. This is a tough one to satisfy.
Yeah, this is a think it over.
Now, I'm big on the handicap and providing the whole bit. But you can't make the whole street, I mean.
No, and I understand that, but I also don't want to just, forget about it, because we.
Right.
I don't want it to be forgotten just because we don't think it's good to open up a can of worms, but, still people are having difficulties. So.
I think maybe we need to look at that ADA real quick.
Yeah, I think so. I can't believe that that's not,
Pardon me.
parking.
On a public street, within the boundaries of the church property itself, they certainly can do that, but on a public street, I'll look into it, but I don't.
Private property, they can.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be nice if we could just double check.
Perhaps then it falls on the church to be the one.
Right.
On church property.
And then at that point, we could tell them, maybe, like if they made it like a cutout, is that something like a curb cut that they would have to apply for, just so that they could put a parking
A
lot?
permit to do that, they have to
Okay.
fall
So at
under
least
the
if we can
zoning.
get some response back to them, it's not something that we can do, but you can apply for a curb cut and designate on your property. That might be an answer for them, so at least we get a response back to them.
Well, I made a call out to the administrator, and I'll follow up, just to get his perspective on it, and then I'll let you know.
What do you mean a curb cut?
It's like when you, if you.
That's to put a driveway in.
That's a
But
curb.
driveway, right, so where we have a curb, and then if you want to make a part of your private property into like a parking pad or create a driveway,
Well, they,
would you
right.
not need to cut the curb and you would need
they
a
would have
permit?
to cut the curb, but they would also have to put it in their parking lot.
Right,
Go through the planning commission.
but, right.
Right, that's.
Right, that's what I'm saying, we could at least tell them, okay, we can't do it on the street, but here's an option for you, if you, on your private property, want to go this
Put a
avenue.
parking lot in, you're more than welcome to.
Right,
Uh,
There's no space.
yeah,
Right.
if there's, right.
This-
Right,
The
yeah.
space is very tight there, but I think what we're saying is, you're offering to reach out to this person, hear his perspective. So let's, at the next meeting, let's try to, hear what that is, right, and close on this, because I mean, this letter's dated December 9th,
Mhm.
right, so it's 2 months.
Mhm.
We owe a response, and I think at this point, unless we hear anything else, right, our response is we can't accommodate this, right, for the reasons that the mayor, or the manager articulated, right?
Mhm.
But let's hear his perspective. All right, anything else in ordinance?
I know this doesn't pertain to ordinance per se, but can we, perhaps on this monthly meeting, put a time limitation on it? Perhaps each